Hello guys, Amandu here and welcome back to my channel. And before anything else, let me share with you the good news. I'm getting married and I'm really excited. I was proposed to by my fiance on March the 2nd and I'm really excited that we are getting married. I'm really happy. So yeah, I guess you're gonna be seeing more of that. On March 5th, I actually celebrated my birthday and my fiance got me a present. So these are Staedtler Marsagraphic Duo double-ended watercolor brush markers. I've wanted to try watercolor markers for a while. These were actually on sale and they were my birthday present, so I'm really excited to try them out with you. So without further ado, let's just get into the packaging and swatch them on. Okay, so this is the packaging. You can see it has an illustration of two zebras here. And it says double-ended watercolor brush markers gives a watercolor effect. It has a 0.5 tip and a 6mm tip. Then on the back it says intense dye-based ink mixed with water for beautiful watercolor effects. Durable foam brush tip will not tear or fray after extended use. For illustration, detailed work, manga, and expressive lettering. Okay, let's just take them out of the box and check them out. So we have 18 colors. This is what the markers look like out of the box. They say Staedtler Marsagraphic Duo. They don't have the name of the colors. I was looking for something like that, but there's nothing in the packaging that says if the colors have any particular names, so I'm just gonna assume they don't. So we have this tip, which is the wider one. And then we have the detail pick. It's really small. It looks great so far. So join me over there at the voiceover so we can talk about the swatching. I have an extra piece of paper here. Let's get started. This is 300 grams watercolor paper, so let's try it on. So for the swatching process, I did something very simple. I used each one of the points, that is the thick kind of brush-like point and the thinner liner point. And I used the larger point to create this little swirl that then I applied water to. The instructions said to apply water with a brush, so that's what I did. And for most of the pieces, the result was really useful. The brush was nothing special and the water was just clean water. I don't know if this kind of watercolor will react with things like salt to create effects, but I think in the future it would be interesting to experiment with that. So we're finally finished with the swatching. I gotta say I'm really satisfied with the colors we got. I think they are very vibrant and there's a decent variety of them. You know, you have at least 3 of each. You know, you have 3 in the red section, 3 in the kind of purplish pink, green, blue, darker colors. Maybe the yellows, you only get 2 of them, but I think that's quite enough. I must say that I'm really impressed with the way that they, you know, start coming off the paper, like the watercolor effect. Like most of the colors are doing a great job with it, then some of them are a little harder to get into. Now I'm pretty sure, and I'm gonna try this in a little while, that you cannot let this dry completely before you apply the water, because then you're gonna get permanent marks like this one's here, and the sooner you apply water to it, the better it will be, you know, the best your effect is going to be. because the ones that I applied water immediately, and I don't know if it's the formula of the color or what, but you know, there are certain colors that gave me this very, you know, uniform little spot of watercolor, and then there are some that really have these marker lines behind with this 2 here and also this blue down here. Like, I was expecting that from the black one here and I didn't get that, or from these browns. You can also see that the colors do a great job on merging together as long as you're doing it with water. I wouldn't merge them together using only the markers. And this little spot here is actually from a drop of water I had before, so you can totally apply the marker over a wet spot, but I think that will ultimately end up damaging your markers, so I wouldn't do it, but you can totally do it. Overall, I'm really satisfied with it. I didn't know what to expect. These are about $15 on Amazon for the 18 pack. I found on Hobby Lobby, I believe. We don't have Hobby Lobby here, but looking online, for example, they have them on sale for $20 for the package of 36. They are normally $36 for the 36 pack, which means it's around $1 per marker, which is a really good price, especially considering the quality of color you are getting. So I'm really happy with this. I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting high quality because I've been using Staedtler items for a while. I use them a lot in college. I've never tried anything other than pencils from their art line, and I'm really satisfied. I think this is a very good product. I think for the price it gives you very good results. I think this could be a very good tool, especially if you want to take something on the go, or if you're just starting with watercolors and you don't want to spend a lot of money on very expensive watercolor sets. I think this could be a very good alternative, and it will probably give you some very good results. What I want to try now is to actually use this in an illustration, because unlike other kinds of watercolors, this doesn't feel that organic to use. I'm worried that once they are dry, they are just gonna leave some marks, and I'm also worried about how blendable they are. I know I can just take like a plastic surface and draw a little bit on it and grab the watercolor from there, but what's the point of having markers if I'm just gonna use a palette to transfer the color? If I want to do that, then I should just get, you know, like the Sakura Koi watercolors and just use my color from a palette. What's the point of having markers if you're just gonna do that? I don't see the point of that. So I'm really interested in seeing how these are going to work on their own, like without using a palette, just this, a brush, and some water. When it comes to the piece that I am kind of experimenting with here, this is an old sketch that I decided I didn't want to finish because I don't quite like it. So I experimented with a few things when I started actually working on a piece. I tried mixing the colors beforehand. By this I mean that I used more than one marker in a single area, and that actually worked. I would be a little afraid as to, you know, the fact that the water will probably make the darkest color take over. So you should be really careful and mindful about where you place your colors, because this is a very hard thing to remove. I doubt you are going to be able to remove it with water. In fact, I had some problems in certain areas and I was unable to lift the color. Some of the markers are harder than others. Like the ink just gets sucked deeper into the paper and it's harder to either remove it or simply like dissolve the ink in order to create the watercolor effect, and that could lead to a lot of, you know, brushing, and brushing the paper constantly, especially with tons of water, could damage the paper and, you know, lift it up, and that's not a good finish for any watercolors. So I would recommend you be careful with the amount of water you use. Water will kind of stain your markers, and if you want to avoid contamination, I would recommend just waiting for one layer to dry before you put the next one. They have a hard time with larger strokes, so I wouldn't use it for big areas. I think you're only risking getting, you know, the whole marker stripe thing if you do a larger area, and it kind of dries out when making really long strokes, so I would avoid that as well. Overall, I think I need way more work with them. I need to experiment a little more. I need to work on other pieces and kind of find a way that these markers could work. I think they have a lot of potential, especially for traveling or for, you know, sketching. I think these are really good markers and they are worth the $15. So if we look at my little test here, I am kind of satisfied with the way the skin looks. I think with the lighter colors especially, you can get a lot of texture. Although you have to be really careful with not letting, you know, things dry up too much, because otherwise, you know, you can really see the markings, or you have to smudge a lot with a lot of water, and I think in a long run that can damage the paper. But I think that if you let them dry, something I didn't do here, you shouldn't have a problem with colors, you know, working next to each other. They do work really well when blended wet on wet. As you can see on her pens, you know, colors blend together really nicely. Darker colors also work together nicely. With some patience and experimenting a lot with how to mix the textures and how much you can let the actual markers work, you can do some very interesting things with these markers. The colors are really vivid, so I think you're gonna get something very nice from that. Anyway guys, thank you so much for joining me while I did this quick review of the Staedtler's Marsagraphic Duo markers. I think this has a lot of potential and I want to explore it a little further. I'm really happy I chose these markers and I'm really happy I finally have a set of them. If you found this review to be useful, or if you enjoy my channel and my quick art, please give me a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay creative guys, bye bye!